government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Back to the home building part. It's interesting you brought it up. Are you as obsessed with AI as I am?
I am.
Okay, I don't know. I'm a grok guy.
Okay. Me
so
too. I'm a grok guy.
You're a grok guy. Okay, Elon. I think it's the best.
I think it's the best. It's also the least woke. I'm always asking myself, if I ask an AI a question, is it going to give me an objective
answer? The vice president puts it in extreme mode.
Answer?
If you put it in extreme mode just for kicks and giggles, it's a little. Well, if you want,
I have not, Sean. I don't want the media to attack.
If you want to know the.
What is your message to the people of the United States, President?
To unite for the peace of the continent. No more endless wars. No more unjust wars. No more Libya. No more Afghanistan.
Do you have a message for President Trump?
My message is yes, peace. Yes, peace.
For Russia, it's one of the things that are related to the past. Russia was a partner to the former regime, and it participated in increasing the suffering of the Syrian people. Our approach to Russia is pragmatic, and we do not want to face this state. Russia has been in Syria for 10 years almost, and the world has left Syrians alone without any assistance. Syrian cities were being bombed, and the international communities was not vocal enough about it to stop it. In brief, and to ensure keeping on the track we have with Russia, we want a calm relationship with everyone. We want Syria to be open to the world in a balanced way. Of course, the Russian role in Syria will not be that of the past. They used to control many aspects of the government. But at the same time, we do not want the relationship to be a relationship of enmity at this important phase. Russia is a member of the UN Security Council, a permanent one. So we do not want issues with them. We want to regulate the role of Russia in Syria. We want to regulate the relationship between them and us. We do not want to be distracted from the main purpose, which is the reconstruction of Syria at this sensitive phase.
If we look at, if Israel looks at what is happening in Syria in a logical manner, it will find that not to intervene in Syria and to have a unified Syria that can be inclusive for all Syrians in a transition, it will be in the interest of Israel, not against them, because there is a mentality in Israel that they want to keep Syria divided, weak, and full of problems for Israel to live in peace or security. And this is a wrong approach, I believe. This will come gradually. Today, we have a problem with Israel. Israel occupied new territories in Syria after the 8th of December. It occupied the borderline of 1974. It is threatening us with airstrikes. We want to reach a security agreement that revives the 1974 disengagement agreement and to reach a level of de-escalation with Israel. Israel, which says that it feels threats by this government. I believe that the 11 months that has gone proves them wrong, because we have seen through those 11 months who attacks the other and who is provoking the other, who is conducting airstrike and who is occupying the lands of the others. So we can see that it is only one side who is doing all of that. We didn't shot a single bullet against Israel throughout this period. So we need to get into an agreement that puts Syria in a situation that is better for the future. Israel saved no effort to fight the new Syrian government through the airstrikes, ground incursion, and occupying some territories in Syria, especially the borderline of 1974 and the areas under the control of UNDOF forces. We are trying to sort that out through diplomacy, dialogue, and bringing more voices of the countries in order to push for that approach, the approach that we want to have peace with everybody, and we want to have natural or normal relations with anybody and calm relations with everybody. We don't want to attack anybody. Syria represent the interests of the Syrian people, and we don't want to be on the side of any agenda or to be just a messenger for other agendas.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Just a little housekeeping here. We're going to have a short show today because I have to catch a plane to D.C. We're going to be spending a lot of time in D.C. because we have Pentagon press credentials going forward. And so that's just going to be a reality. So we've got to work out some of the logistics, but I've got to go catch a flight. I want to say hello to the crew in the chat. Thank you for joining us already. And please check out whatfinger.com and give them some traffic as a great aggregator site. And we've got a good show today. It's going to be short, but we're going to talk with Daniel Beecham, who is a AI entrepreneur. AI is going to be a focus of ours on the economy, as we always focus on the economy, and also the military side of this. We're going to get some military guys in. We've had Brendan Riley, who's a defense contractor, on the AI on many times, but we want to really bring more business focus, economic, and just essentially people's employment, the labor force. And we're going to be talking about that today with Daniel. So he's going to be on in a second. Let's do the mission brief. Today is November 14th. I'm your host, Todd Wood. This is the mission brief. Sebastian Gorka says the U.S., while on a trip to Lebanon to meeting with President Aoun, said the U.S. is going to back disarmament of Hezbollah in the south with the Lebanese army. Well, we asked the question this morning, what does that mean? What does it mean, Sebastian, when you say the U.S. is going to back disarmament of Hezbollah? This is a Shia proxy army in the south of Lebanon. It's an Iranian-backed force. Are you going to use military force? What does this mean? Does it just mean moral support? What does it mean? The U.S. is pushing to disarm Hezbollah in the south, and we don't want another war in the Middle East, that's for sure, and we're going to be very, very, very vocal about that. Montenegro persecutes the Orthodox Church. We'll go into how they're doing that. Another example in Eastern Europe of the Eastern Church being persecuted. Gary Sinise and Flix. Interesting, uplifting message that Gary has, as always. And Connecticut AG Tong attempts to block more deportations. Connecticut is the most communist state in the Union. We've talked about that a lot. And we're going to show you some examples of that today. And then I want to talk about Montana. We've got a paper out in Montana, the Montana Sentinel, which is doing extremely well and extremely impactful, as all of our papers are. I want to talk about the GOP in Montana because it's got some issues, just like the rest of the GOP around the country. So stay with us. We'll be right back on the SCIF with Daniel. We'll do some stories and then talk with Daniel Beecham. Be right back. Stay with us.
I'm a naturopathic doctor. We are in the world of medicine, very acquainted with many modalities, but probably the one most familiar with everybody would be two things: homeopathy and herbals or herbs, maybe some nutrients too, vitamins, minerals, that kind of thing. Now, we do know a lot about the drugs because we have to find out what drug you're taking affects you and what nutrient it depletes you of, because most every drug pharmacy product will deplete something. So we have been trained and we have a database that we can check into that says this is going to take your B12 away. The pharmaceutical company cannot patent organic substances made by the body. You're not born short of Advil. You're not born short of Ritalin.
Yeah.
You can be born short of insulin, right? The answers to staying healthy and keeping away from even SARS or any of those things getting into you is staying healthy. You and I get sick because our terrain gets out of balance. Well, that's the same thing in the soil. You and I are made from this thing called dirt. And when we get out of balance, we have the same thing happen. Weeds start to grow in our body. Right? And that's what we want in our body. We want nutrients that we don't understand how to get well enough yet because our suppliers are lacking knowledge on nutrient density foods.
So this is what drove you to develop this, was your knowledge of this, right?
Right. You know that.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, My Pillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I just want to give a shout out to the wellness company, twc.health/CDM. Check out their travel emergency kits. I used mine on my recent trip as I was fighting disease from overseas, but it's all good. Check out what they have, twc.health/CDM. Great Christmas presents. Some of the supplements, etc., go right in a stocking, like this Spike Detox, Ultimate Detox. All right, I want to bring in Daniel Beecham. I see him in the green room. I'm going to bring him now and talk AI. How you doing, Daniel? Thanks for joining me this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Todd.
I hear you're the man when it comes to AI. So first, tell us about your company. What's your background and what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So my company is Propagent, and what we do is end-to-end proposal response. And so what that means is both from the vendor side and the buyer side, we are building to basically fully automate that entire process. The idea is and the kind of the vision around that is to get to the point where you are you're doing the most important part, which is talking to the vendors and the vendors talking to the buyers, and get to the point where you already have that kind of selection of the best vendors, and you're already getting to that last part instead of that process taking months and and doing all this kinds of really, really busy, low impact work. My background has been primarily in consulting, so data, AI, and digital transformation. I led generative AI for my last consulting firm. I did projects for Fortune 500 companies. So led generative AI and AI machine learning platforms and products. Really, I've built some really cool stuff. I've been really fortunate to work with really great clients on really cool projects. And most recently, I did some work with a AI Center of Excellence as well, that for a utilities firm based out of the Southeast as well. So very AI heavy, pretty product heavy. And this is the second startup I've been part of.
So is that becoming a thing in consulting, as in AI is coming in, and so people don't really know how to integrate it into their business, et cetera? Is that the new wave of consulting, you think?
I mean, the proof's in the numbers, right? You look at, like BCG, McKinsey, some of these bigger consulting firms, Accenture, right? They're absolutely killing it on AI consulting. In fact, I think it's probably eaten up some different parts of the business in terms of that, but it is also become just a absolute massive revenue driver for consultancies, primarily because customers don't have AI background. They don't generally, not all of them have AI teams and AI specialists and data scientists and data engineers and all the skill sets that it requires to go out there and actually create something useful and valuable for the company. So yeah, it's definitely really a huge deal for consultancies, whether or not they're experts or pretending to be experts. They're killing it out there.
I'm sure. So yeah, fake it till you make it, right? So tell me, your company. So if I'm a business and I think, wow, I really got to get ahead of the curve and integrate AI into what I'm doing, and you would come to you to basically assist in that process. You're not the actual vendor, but you're bringing in the right vendors, managing the process, and getting the client to the end game that he wants. Is that correct?
So when I was a consultant, I would say yes, right? Okay. Right now, what we're doing is very heavily involved in the RFP process. So RFPs, very much in formal procurement. So what we do is we basically treat our what we do as a service at the moment, as we're kind of building out the technology around it. But we're doing everything from sourcing opportunities for your company to respond and then building out the full response to these very complex RFPs, and then coaching to help you get past the finish line, right? So you make it, we write this great proposal for you, you get to the top, 2 or 3 contenders, you have the oral presentation. So we coach you based off of, what your gaps are in your actual proposal, based off of your history and all the data that you have provided us and the data that's available publicly to us. So we're really about taking you from start to finish with complex procurement.
So that begs the question: what's the suite size for your client? That seems would lend itself to a larger business. Am I correct? Or am I wrong?
You'd be surprised, right? There's 2 kinds of clients that we're getting right now. One of them is the client where there's a single bottleneck, right? So all proposals go through a single person, and that person, let's just say in the architecture, engineering, and construction space, that person tends to be the director of marketing, right? The director of marketing has tons and tons of their own work that they have to get done on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And then their partner, and their partner comes by and says, "Hey, this RFP is due in a week. We need to do it." And it's 100% on that one person, and that becomes a huge bottleneck for that person, right? And so the other thing about that is these directors of marketing are not RFP proposal writers. They're not experts in that space. Sure, they do one occasionally. We've heard really interesting feedback from some of them. A lot of it around being this kind of like, I have a week, and it usually, by the way, an average RFP takes between 30 and 40 hours to complete. And so, it fully consumes them, and they have to get other things done. And then they end up, putting out proposals that are just not high quality. And then guess what? They don't win the proposals. So that all that time is wasted. And then they have this kind of really strong negative feedback loop. Right? It's like you lose, and then you get another one put on your desk, and it's just really low impact work. I know I've worked on tons of proposals. I know it's painful, to do anyways, right? And it makes it worse to lose, and it makes it worse when you're on these kinds of time crunches. And so we eliminate a lot of that time crunch because we can get that first draft within minutes instead of days.
Wow.
And really, so you can just focus on a couple little tweaks on there before you submit that. And so, sorry to answer the second part of that is that there is the other kind of client, which is the one that is already strategically using RFPs, right? So like they have a really strong procurement process. They're already answering maybe several hundred RFPs every year, but they are also, hiring several full-time writers for this. So the way you look at it is you can either say this could be a cost-cutting mechanism. Everybody hates to hear it, but it's true, and it's going to affect a lot of different positions, especially in knowledge work and in writing, right? And then on the other side of that, there's the ability to say, well, you're doing 200 RFPs. What's stopping you from doing 300, 400, 500, 1,000 RFPs, right? And so that's kind of the other value kind of proposition for companies that already are using RFPs strategically.
So you're in the Southeast. Is that the majority of your clients, or do you go national or even global, or what are you looking for?
Right now, we're primarily focused in the U.S. and Canada, mainly because the procurement piece is well, from public procurement perspective, it's all publicly available, right? So when we're doing the sourcing, it's a lot easier for us to go out there and find work for our clients. Also, by the way, a very painful part of the process, as we've learned doing some of this manually as we're building out our technology. You go into 20, 30, 40 different websites and sign up, and you got to manage all the filtering, and they send you a bunch of stuff somehow still that has nothing to do with the type of work you're trying to get done. And so you have to filter through all that in your email, and your email becomes a big mess, right? So so we're solving for that as well. But to your point, we're focused in the U.S. and Canada primarily at the moment. As we grow, we hope to expand that footprint.
So let me switch to the business in general, or the sector in general. You're hearing today and in the last few days a lot of big layoffs at firms on AI. What are you seeing in the labor force as far as a change? Companies, is it happening faster than we thought, or is it happening for real, or what do you think?
So I have several perspectives on this. The first one is there was an interesting recent study done where the AI was given tasks, and AI and humans are given tasks that were done, that are typically done remotely. So think like Fiverr or one of these kinds of services where you can hire somebody remote to do the work, and ask it to do end-to-end, like complete this task and submit it, and humans would then grade whether or not they thought it was sufficient. The result was at 2.5% of the work, which was acceptable, that was done by AI, right? So there's
not a big number.
It's not a big number yet, right? Yeah. But it's not insignificant, but it's not super significant either, right? So if you think, 2.5% of all work, right, that could potentially be done remotely, and the remote work has become pretty standard these days. That's a lot of people potentially that are being replaced in their jobs. On the other hand, from the layoff perspective, what I'm seeing is that it's less so that there's a net layoffs. It's more about restructuring and reorganization of companies around AI capabilities. And so what happens is they'll get rid of people that they think aren't necessarily great fits for the new reorg. And often companies also, like Amazon, for example, is known for taking the bottom 10% and getting rid of them annually, right? So sometimes it's just a way to say, hey, we have some people that aren't necessarily performing very well. Let's slim down a little bit and reorganize around how AI can work. And they'll hire, people that have AI skills into new roles. So it's definitely a shift in terms of, hiring and firing. But I think what it is that people always get focused on the negatives, and they don't see so much like the hiring side of it as well.
Interesting. So what are you seeing in your RFPs that you manage? Is it mostly like customer service, or is it legal? Is it medical? I mean, what kind of sectors are you seeing really pick up AI?
So right now, our customers are primarily either professional services, technology, or the architecture, engineering, construction. And so, yeah, very interesting, right? And what it is, it's like the more complex it is, the more value we bring. So if you can just copy, change the name of the customer and submit it, then we're not the right fit. But if it's something where you need to tailor it to a specific solution, or it's like some sort of custom work done, or perhaps you just want to incorporate research that is being done about your client into the RFP and make it more personal, and bring in your strategic win themes based off of what you're really good at and how it fits with both the proposal and the context of the client. That's where we bring a lot of that value. And yeah, so the more complex the proposals, the better. And that's kind of where a lot of very complex proposals are created.
That's interesting. So tell us, if, we've got a national, global audience. If somebody's out there like, wow, this sounds like what I need, where would they find you?
Yeah, so they can find me on my email, primarily, daniel@propagent.ai. You can see Propagent spelled right in front of my, right by my name there. You could also find me on LinkedIn. We also have a website that you can request a demo on. So it's propagent.ai is that website. So you can find me various ways, right? But if you look me up, I'm maybe one of 7 Daniel Beechams on LinkedIn. It shouldn't be too terribly difficult,
Well, we want to have you back because AI is going to be a big portion of what we're doing. So I really appreciate you coming on today. Thanks a lot, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. Great talking to you, Todd.
Take care, man. Ciao.
Celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7. I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down, and doctors' offices were shut down. And even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. Oh, the men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies, they will all turn out and will all...
Welcome back to the SCIF. As I mentioned, we're going to have a short show today because I've got to catch a flight to D.C. I've got to go to an event along with some military stuff at the Pentagon, but I've got to go to an event for the Iranian resistance. They wanted me down there to see what they're up to right now. This is my book, Paying the Price. The Untold Story of the Iranian Resistance. And it's even got pictures of the resistance effort in Iran and in Iraq over the last couple decades. The book is available at historyofbooks.com. It's available anywhere books are sold, but you can get signed copies at historyofbooks.com. I am one of the few journalists who have actually visited their encampment in Albania and their headquarters in Paris. And anyway, I think it's a really interesting book. And if you know somebody for Christmas that loves geopolitics, loves the Middle East, maybe Iranian or Iranian adjacent, or wants to know how we can bring down the regime of the mullahs that is, quite evil to its own people, and how we can do that from the inside, or how it can be done from the inside, not us, but how it can be done from the inside. So check out Paying the Price, The Untold Story of the Iranian Resistance. I want to bring up a few stories here. So Montana Sentinel, montanasentinel.com is our paper out in the great state of Montana. It's had a big impact. And there's a lot going on in the GOP in Montana. If you're from that state, please bookmark the paper and visit it often. The content is growing and the team is growing. It's kind of a work in progress. But the GOP out there, as in Georgia, as in Florida, as in Arizona, as in Michigan, has had some issues with the rhino infiltration, et cetera. Montana is a very important state, and it was targeted by the bad hombres to really keep the bad hombres in power. And Montana is one way they are doing that. So please check that out if you have an interest in the GOP in Montana. And you can go to cdm.press and see all the sites at the top, CDM sites, and you can look at all the papers. So please take a look at that if you have interest. I want to talk about a story which is really important. Sebastian Gorka went to Lebanon and met with President Aoun recently, and he said in a declaration that the U.S. will back the Lebanese government disarming Hezbollah. So Hezbollah is a Iranian proxy militia in the south of Lebanon. It's funded and armed by Iran. It's fought multiple wars with the Israelis. And it has a large weapons cache still to this day. Israel is bombing South Lebanon on a daily basis, almost. So this is a hot war. And Gorka says, well, the U.S. is going to back the Lebanese government to disarm Hezbollah. This is a push by Tom Barak and Morgan Ortagus and the Trump administration to, I guess, get the Lebanese government to disarm this faction. We can debate that policy, but the fact that the U.S. will back the Lebanese government, what does that mean? Does that mean military action? There's a whole spectrum of what that could mean, and we would like that clarified as to what Mr. Gorka thinks the U.S. government is going to do in South Lebanon. We don't want another war, and we're going to be screaming from the rooftops, especially in the Middle East, not in our neighborhood, if this moves forward in any direct action kind of way. If you go to the Balkan.press, which is our paper in the Balkans, Balkan news without the globalist spin, you can see an article that we put up yesterday from one of our great writers, Batko, where they're persecuting the Serbian Orthodox Church in Montenegro. Obviously, the former Yugoslavia, the Balkans is where the term Balkanized comes from. It was the center of the conflict between the Ottoman Empire and the Christian Western Europe. And till this day, it's still very Balkanized. And that's obviously a fact. You've had the Balkan Wars, the Yugoslav Wars, which I actually flew in back in the 90s out of Brindisi, Italy into Yugoslavia. And so I know it well. Montenegro, I was just there. Very beautiful country and beautiful churches. And this is a Montenegrin priest. And he's an Orthodox priest. He's allowed to marry, and has a wife. But the government is rejecting, what to acquire Montenegrin citizenship for his wife. So this is just one of many roles or many, vectors of persecution against the church across Eastern Europe. We've talked about Ukraine. We've talked about Armenia. We've talked about Romania, where the church is being persecuted. And this is just another issue, another reference, another data point of unkindness by the Montenegrin government towards the Christian church. So wanted to make you aware of that story. Let's move to the great state of Connecticut had a great article in our Connecticut Sentinel paper, one of the revolutionary papers that we resurrected, which is kind of what we do. And by the way, we're going to have big news out of Lebanon going forward. We may be moving into the media space there. We'll see. But veterans, Pure Flix and Gary Sinise. Gary Sinise, I worked with back in the day when I was a CFO of a veteran hydroponic farming company. And Gary is always involved with the veteran side of things. But he started a streaming service called Pure Flix. So check it out. You can guess what the title means. It means he's streaming, good, wholesome content for your family and faith, family, and freedom. And we're really proud of Gary for doing that. He's just a stand-up American, and I would support that. If you're looking for an alternative to, Netflix and some of the other streaming services which are pumping transgender and other things into your home, maybe this is it. Pure Flix, Flix, by Gary Sinise and crew. Check out the article on ConnecticutSentinel.com. Here's another story. Connecticut, again, Connecticut Attorney General Tong opposes Trump administration's efforts to expand expedited deportations. Tong, I don't even know how many lawsuits he's filed against the Trump administration. I think it's dozens at this point. This is not surprising, but it just shows, as we've said over and over and over and over again, Connecticut is the most communist state, infiltrated state in the Union, and AG Tong is one of the shield maidens for that communist movement in Connecticut. He's saying they are erroneously detaining and deporting American citizens, ripping families apart, ignoring grave and legitimate asylum claims, and shackling people on one-way flights to horrific foreign jungle prisons. Well, I think they're just following the law, Mr. Tong, but we can debate that. Anyway, if you're in the Connecticut area, check out ConnecticutSentinel.com, spelled with a C, the old revolutionary way. It's one of our proud revolutionary papers we resurrected, literally from revolutionary times, the cradle of liberty in the great state of Connecticut. And we need to recover that Connecticut chutzpah and that Connecticut fight for freedom. And we're trying to do that with the Connecticut Sentinel. And again, we've had a huge, huge, huge impact in Connecticut on what's going on in that great state. And we'll continue to do that. So I told you we'd have a short show. That's all I got today. We had an interview canceled, so we're just going to end the show here. I apologize. We'll be back Monday, 10 to noon, Monday through Friday Eastern on the SCIF. And we'll be here Sunday for the Georgia show at 2 p.m. I'll be on with Bill Quinn, and there's so much going on in Georgia. It's the epicenter of the cheat. It's the epicenter of everything. It's the epicenter of criminality inside the GOP. You had the Ponzi scheme where GOP members would, the first family of the GOP, the Frosts, set up a Ponzi scheme which was seized by the feds, $140 million lost, mom and pop money. And those people are still in power, some of them in that family, in the government, in the GOP apparatus in Georgia. And one of them, Katie Frost, I believe, I could be wrong, we'll have to verify this, but I think she's still in charge of on the Georgia GOP Financial Advisory Committee, if you can believe that, after her family was involved in grifting $140 million off of the Georgia mom and pop citizens, the grassroots of Georgia. And by the way, there's going to be more coming on this. The head of the Georgia GOP, Josh McCoon, put out a video when he started about the 7 mountains that he wanted to climb to restore the Georgia GOP. This was when he was trying to get elected. And that sounds eerily familiar to the 7 mountains mandate that Candace Owens is talking about, which we've reported on the Turning Point USA, Turning Point Faith issue, which she is really outing a lot of the possible corruption going on there. So we're going to stay on this story. I was talking to people at length yesterday about this dominionism movement, 7 mountains mandate, new apostolic reformation, where they essentially think they're apostles that came after Jesus, and that they have a different way of looking at the future and biblical teachings different from what the Bible says. So that is disturbing, but we are going to be on that story going forward. And it's just interesting that it connects into Georgia and to Turning Point and all of it. And I don't think we're anywhere near the end of it. So anyway, that's our show for today. We'll be back on the Georgia show Sunday at 2 p.m. and then on Monday through Friday at 10 to noon Eastern on the SCIF. I'll be in D.C. this weekend and maybe do some reporting out of this MEK or Mujahideen Khalq event, which is the Iranian resistance in D.C. So stay tuned. We may do something on that yet tomorrow. So stay with us on the SCIF Monday, and thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.